So here I got some Psychic Cup battles for you today to give you an idea of what the Psychic Cup meta might look like. Here I'm just going in with Victini, Malamar, and Galarian Rapidash. Basically, I feel like these three Pokemon are the three best Pokemon just straight up in the cup. So why not make a team that features all of them, right? And of course, if you want some team building ideas of your own for the Psychic Cup, definitely recommend checking out my Psychic Cup Meta Simplified video, link up above and in the description, so you can build your own creative teams for the Psychic Cup here. So here we have my opponent leading in with Gardevoir. A Gardevoir lead is fantastic for this team because Malamar does not want to fight the Gardevoir at any point in time, and keeping that Gardevoir lined up with my Victini is fantastic. So just kind of annihilating them here for the most part. Their Alolan Raichu is now out of the way, and I was able to burn my Malamar on that, which is kind of the ideal way to handle it. If you know your opponent has a Gardevoir, or you haven't seen the Gardevoir yet, but you're seeing their second Pokemon, if you can just burn your Malamar on that, 9 times out of 10, that's probably going to be the way to go, because a Gardevoir lined up against a Malamar, there really isn't a whole lot of getting out of that. And yeah, here we've got the Galar Rapidash lined up against the Malamar here. Another really bad matchup for Malamar for the most part, and kind of highlights just how good Galarian Rapidash is. Unfortunately, my opponent did not let me get the big Mega Horn endgame there, but Malamar is doubly weak to that Mega Horn. So here we got a Claydol lead. Claydol's got Mud Slap, so that's not good for Victini. So I just swap immediately to the Galarian Rapidash. If you can help it, try not to save swap into Malamar, because if they tag that with a Gardevoir, you're probably going to lose the fight. And you can see here, my opponent does in fact have a Gardevoir in the back. Looking at my HP, I think I could have reached a Mega Horn. Yeah, I definitely could have gone for Mega Horn. And Mega Horn possibly would have OHKO'd this Pokemon, which would be fantastic. But I kind of make up for it by getting a really gnarly farm down with my Victini here. You'll see that my Victini is running Psychic. And after this set of battles, I did TM over to the Overheat. I kind of forgot that I kept Psychic on it. It's not really that big of a deal. The main shtick with Victini is going to be the V-Creates, and then the secondary move is nice for either extra damage or for hitting the opponent to either Beta Shield or KO them without debuffing yourself. But I feel like Overheat is the preferred move just because it's able to nuke down things. For example, Bronzong does not get one-shot by V-Create. It does get one-shot by the Overheat, so that's something to keep in mind. And yeah, this poor fool brought Hypno into the Psychic Cup, which, I mean, it does have Shadow Ball. It sounds like a good idea, but the confusions are so slow and it basically does no damage outside of the Shadow Ball, even when it comes to the elemental punches. So for the most part, it's generally not recommended to go with any confusion user, including Oranguru. I know Oranguru is kind of like a favorite for this kind of stuff, but this is definitely not the set of circumstances to bring out the Oranguru. Then we got my third opponent here, leading in with Malamar. So Malamar versus Victini is kind of a dicey situation on both ends, because the Malamar doesn't want to get hit with your big charge moves, right? And you don't want to get hit with a foul play, but you could survive a foul play, you know, if you weren't debuffed by the V-Create, right? But generally, you don't want to hang out, and you don't want to spend shields. You don't want to lose, HP in that situation. You generally want to keep your Victini healthy for a Gardevoir in the back, unless you got something else to manage Gardevoir in the back of your team. So I swap over to the Galarian Rapidash here. This opponent's pretty smart. They respected the Mega Horn. Mega Horn does a ton of damage to Bronzong, so if Bronzong can help it, try not to get hit by it. But obviously, if the Galarian Rapidash has a bunch of HP, there really isn't a whole lot of getting out of this one. Now, this might seem a little bit odd. Victini is the fire type, so why am I going to Malamar? Well, Bronzong in this meta is using a dark type fast move, Feint Attack, so given this set of circumstances, it's going to be more beneficial to bring in Malamar rather than Victini, because Victini would be getting hit super effectively with the Feint Attacks there, where this thing can kind of truck along, build up a ton of energy because Bronzong is super slow getting to its charge moves, setting it up for some really big victories here in the end game. Speaking of victories, we're now up against the victory Pokemon, Victini. What is that thing called? And yeah, no, so since we were able to farm up on the Bronzong, one of the best things Bronzong is around for, getting farmed by Malamar, we were able to hit it with the foul play. And yeah, as you can see, if it's not self-debuffed, it can survive the foul play. But they are out of shields, and my Victini has a V-Create. Oh, whoa! They swap caught. Oh man, it's getting dicey now. And I'm self-debuffed. Can I possibly overcome this Victini? Oh man. And yeah, since they self-debuffed, we both simultaneously knock out on the quick attack, and because my Malamar was alive, I'm able to take that fight. So yeah, Victini mirrors overall just kind of the scariest thing in the cup. I'd rather have my Victini fight like anything else. Like Malamar, I'm comfy, right? But the Victini mirror, it's just a nightmare, absolutely. So yeah, so they shield up the V-Create, so I dip on out of there. Getting foul played on your Galarian Rapidash ain't great because it is pretty fragile, but you are able to force out the Malamar that way and burn that energy. And then against this Bronzong, situation I keep finding myself in. Bronzong's in the back everywhere. I tried to bait a shield with the Body Slam. They didn't shield it, so I could have gone for a Mega Horn. But overall, it's not a big deal. I just wanted to soften up the Bronzong more so than anything else and maybe get a shield in the process. And because they're softened up now a foul play will OHKO them, or a V-Create could OHKO them as well, where before they'd just be kind of off. And those quick attacks and those Psycho Cuts, they don't do nothing to Bronzong. So yeah, here you can see I can take full advantage of the Bronzong. If you're curious, it takes Bronzong 10 fast moves to reach the payback. I don't remember what the heavy slam is. I think it's like 7, maybe 6. But I think Pokemon to really learn the counts for is going to be the Bronzong and the Gardevoir. Gardevoir is going to take 10 to get to the Shadow Ball. The more counts you learn in this very condensed cup, the more you can take advantage of things getting stuck after they throw a charge move, which is probably the primary way to get ahead, more so than anything else in the Psychic Cup. It's all about that energy management and that shield management. You got to know when to let it go and when to I don't know, throw charge moves and spend shields. So it can be a little bit technical, right? But at the end of the day, if you got Victini and you got Malamar, you don't have a whole lot to worry about unless you're also fighting a Victini and a Malamar. And a little secret for you guys, they're everywhere. This is the name of the cup. So here I throw the Psychic on them, Victini Mirror, right? Because I'm thinking, okay, at this point, I don't want to self-debuff, but if the Psychic did so much damage, I could maybe OHKO them with the V-Create at this point, you know, them being so wounded. And turns out, no, I couldn't. So they're able to take me out. So yeah, the Victini Mirror matchup can be extremely technical, really rough to navigate. So good luck with that one. I'm learning a lot about it myself. So here we got the mighty Galarian Rapidash. You'd think that this is a great matchup because it's a fragile fairy type Pokemon. But those body slams come really quick. They hit super hard. And Mega Horn can nearly OHKO Victini too. So I'd say, even though this is a pretty good matchup for Victini, the ball is not 100% in Victini's court. It's a really perilous battle here. You can see they CMP time me. Galarian Rapidash has a really huge attack stat, at least compared to Victini, so it'll always win those CMP ties. It's not that exciting. And as far as IVs go on my Pokemon, my Victini, as you can see, I guess not right now on screen, is like 1476 or something. So even if you have a bad IV Victini, it's the only Victini you got. So if you didn't already power it up past 1500 CP, I'd say it's pretty good to go in this cup. When it comes to my Malamar is an attack-weighted Malamar from my Malamar PvP IV Deep Dive. I hear some people don't trust in the attack-weighted Malamar, and those same people in their own videos are losing the CMP ties. So yeah, I think Attack Malamar is definitely the way to go in this cup, but you do want to keep your bulk in mind. So yeah, link in the description to the Malamar PvP IV Deep Dive. If you already built a Malamar, maybe you could build a second one with the crazy attack weight. Get both ends of the spectrum there. And then when it comes to my Galarian Rapidash, mine is Egg Hatch IVs. It really wants to have bulk because Fairy Wind isn't doing a whole lot of damage, and because I have mine in this like kind of safe swap, you know, backline kind of position, getting CMP isn't much of a thing, or at least in theory it isn't. So if you can get a really high bulk one through trading, I think that would be ideal for the Galarian Rapidash there. And then here we got the big endgame situation against the Galarian Slowking. If you checked out my Psychic Cup Meta Simplified video, You'd know that I don't really like this Pokemon too much because it's so slow. And right there, it was just one moment away from Fast Move farming me down. But because Hex is such a slow attack, I was able to just skate on underneath it and throw a V-Create for the KO. So that's like my main apprehension. Like you'd think in theory, G-King would be super good in this cup. And it kind of is, but because Hex is so awkward, Pokemon are just able to get those moves under the table and ruin its life. So here we got another Victini mirror. I'm going for the Psychic because I like to throw early in these mirrors. Get them a little spooked, right? Then I went for the V-Create. Maybe I could get 2 shields out of this deal. Well, I guess Victini wasn't having it. So now I either shield my Victini or I let it go. I shield it up because Victini is so powerful and I want to save it for a Charm endgame here. So I swap to my Galarian Rapidash and I'm up against Charm Gallade, which is just very odd because it's not good. I mean, here you can see it's beating me by spending shields and stuff, but it's really just not a great situation for it. It's taking super effective damage from these Fairy Winds, and look at that HP, man. If I had a trade IV, like high bulk, Galarian Rapidash going on there, I think I could have just taken it in this fight, and it would have been very sad for the Gallade there, but hey, you know what? Ingenuity. This guy's probably running double charm. I'm going to find out just how well that's going to go for me with my Malamar endgame here. So yeah, so without any shields, I'm sparing no time getting rid of that thing. And they don't have a Shadow Gardevoir or a Gardevoir in the back, despite running Gallade, which is just strange to me. It's a Bronzong. So I guess I win. I don't know. I have no idea what would possess somebody to bring Charm Gallade to the Psychic Cup, not Gardevoir, not do a double charm thing. It just seems pretty odd. Maybe it's like a mind game, like maybe somebody's going to save their Steel type or something for the end game, thinking there's Gardevoir. I have no idea. Then we got this fight leading in with the Shadow Gardevoir, exactly where I want to see it. And this Maverick here is running the Water Gun Slowbro. It is one of my recommended core breakers for this cup. It is kind of like a spicy, interesting option with its resistances and neutral water gun damage. And you can see here, because I didn't OHKO it with the foul play, and the Psycho Cuts do like nothing to it, it's able to go toe-to-toe with Malamar really well. Like, it's slow on the draw with the charge moves, so overall not like the best Pokemon ever, but it's putting a lot of pressure on me. And here I was thinking I could maybe fast move farm it down with the Victini and get a big energy lead. If they reach a charge move, then I could just shield it up and live with it. And yeah, these water guns on Victini. My Victini was basically full health Victini, right? I am now at basically half HP after that water gun action. And this Maverick also has the Medicham. Medicham is pretty threatening, as you're going to find out. I took out half of its HP with V-Create, but I had to get out of there because I know one thing's for sure. Those ice punches hit a little bit harder than what you think they will. Then they bring in the Shadow Gardevoir to bring down my Galarian Rapidash, and if they shield this, it's basically game over for me. And they don't shield it, so I OHKO them with the big Mega Horn, and then because I'm doubly resisting the counter damage, I'm able to reach the Body Slam, get that shield right out from the Medicham here, and yeah, it's basically game over. Medicham didn't work out this time, but I think after people get used to this cup, I wouldn't mind trying it out myself. I think it could work out with all the Malamar and Steel type Pokemon I'm seeing in the back here. So that wraps up for these battles. I think these 3 Pokemon, more so than anything else in the Psychic Cup, is going to be the big bad meta line here. You can run with any of them in the lead, any of them in the back, even Galarian Rapidash. It looks like an A-B pivot type team here, but Galarian Rapidash is so insane in the lead slot, you could probably lead with this thing and have no problems whatsoever. Of course, if you do want to break the mold, get a little big brain about the Psychic Cup meta, well, link down below to my Psychic Cup meta simplified video, which basically highlights some of the more, niche, interesting picks that could throw your opponent off and get you victory in the face of the Psychic Cup meta. But I'd say for the first couple days here, stick to the big bad meta line, and then once everybody kind of gets on the same page, that's when you start rolling out the Spice Wagon and destroy them that way. At any rate, if you got any questions on this content, comment below, let me know what's up. I'll be happy to help you out. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, you want to see more like it, well, make sure to subscribe to SwagTips. SwagTips. I'd like to give a special shout out to these Patreon supporters. If you want to support Swagman on Patreon, link in the description.
There are people out there saying that you should have a very high attack IV spread for the Malamar in order basically to win
Who'd say
CMP,
such a thing?
the CMP tie against the Victini. Definitely a good idea, but the problem with this is you will lose this matchup against the other Malamar, because Malamar will not be able to take 2 foul plays anymore. This is also why I'm not really a friend of those crazy IV spread calculations where you get the hit, like the, I don't know, bulk point through and whatever, and where usually Victini wins basically CMP against nearly everything. And so for me, I just went for 2 weak rates now because I thought it was safe because I will be able to win CMP. Turns out I was wrong. They will be able to win CMP just because they have a high attack IV spread there. Everything below that wouldn't do it.